Why did you start YouTube? What was your motivation and the backstory of your first video?
I've been on YouTube off and on doing different things since 2008 with varying degrees of success. I've done many different things. Being completely blunt, completely honest, the real reason people is I'm a list channel, Toplists. The real reason you start a list channel, and that you've heard this answer before, which is why you're laughing, is it is the most amount of money, at least it was, the most amount of money for the least amount of effort. That is the reason why you start a list channel, all right? Any and there's a reason too why many of them you don't really talk to the person behind it because they're sitting back and raking in the money. It's they don't really need to put themselves out there. I hate to say it. I've talked to many list channels, and I mean, you do that, and you realize that every single one of them is a cynical cash grabbing operation, and by no means am I unique in that. Obviously, I've changed since then because I can't reach my subs anymore. But yeah, that was the reason I started it. Now, at the same time, too, I don't think anyone will say that I'm a complete charlatan. I don't know anything, right? I wrote those videos. It's clear that I do know at least a little bit about history, science, politics, et cetera, et cetera. And so the reason was, you think when you start a channel, a lot of people will admit that they start a channel because they want people to watch their stuff. They want to be successful and they want attention and whatever it is. And so I thought, I remember I was sitting one afternoon, I was thinking, what's the easiest way to get the most attention that also, intermixes with my skills? And list channel was the obvious answer to that. Now, a list channel makes the most sense because I read a lot when I was younger. I would read and read and read. And so I know all these, useless facts and all this information that has completely no value whatsoever in the real world. It's not pragmatic at all. It doesn't matter for my ability to get a job whether or not I know what the Swiss cantons are in your case, or what's the capital of Malaysia, or anything else. It's completely useless except for stringing together these list videos. So don't be too hard on me, right? Obviously, people do. I mean, more people should admit this, but people do things for money. But also at the same time, it was, you have to not hate it, right? You have to enjoy it at least a little bit. And I like information, I like facts, I like knowledge, and so it was a perfect fit. And so that, I believe, is the motivations and the probably the shortest story about how and why I got started.
What is your general opinion on the current state of YouTube?
My general opinion on the current state of YouTube, I have many friends. I don't tell many people that I do YouTube, but the people I do tell, my closest friends, inevitably they always ask me because they're curious. Do you think I should do YouTube? You think I should start a channel on that? And the people I care about, I always tell them, being completely honest, I'm not afraid of competition. I don't care. Stay away. Do not do YouTube. Do not invest your time, especially right now. This place is a complete dumpster fire. You can't reach your subs. I mean, they've had two advertiser boycotts in a row. The very foundation of the site is really, really shaky right now. I mean, you've seen this. I mean, I guess your friend messaged you one day saying, "I think this list channel's lost his mind." In a way, your friend was right. It's also liberating, but at the same time, too, I should not have had my life upended because some incompetent got put in charge and everything was radically changed, and now I can't even reach my subs of all things. It's something you would think would be unfathomable about 3 years ago. Like you think like having a subscriber is the most fundamental part of the site, but no, I guess anything's up to be changed these days. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's like if you like literally harvest the entire rainforest, it's good for that company, but in the long run, for everyone, it's bad, right? I'm capable of recognizing just because I may make some more money, it probably isn't good to good for YouTube's ecosystem to just cut out all the smaller ones that are growing, Do you remember when those videos came out where they did a deep dive into the statistics of demonetization? They identified those three code markers that had like a 98% correlation with being demonetized, and they figured out that on average they were receiving 30% less views, right? And the response on Twitter famously, if I watched this from the YouTuber creator, whatever it's called, that Twitter handle, no, those codes have nothing to do with it. We've removed them, so there's no confusion. I mean, is it really that they have nothing to do with it, or you removed it so that people can investigate it more? Which one is it? No one believes them. And they have a history of lying, a history of not being transparent. And I know it's in their 5 objectives for 2018. Well, guess what? The year's 1/6 over, and I haven't seen much of a change in there. We don't believe you. Too many people don't even mention this, but when the monetization guidelines were first changed, they used to demonetize your videos and not even fucking tell you. You would still have that. I mean, surely you remember this, that green dollar sign. You'd still have that. but you would look in the analytics and it was making literally nothing. They just wouldn't even tell you, but people complained and complained and complained. And then another example, you like, I know you can appeal demonetization and unlisted mode. You're familiar with that, right? YouTube is only worth it if you're in the top 1% of channels. And I would say, during my prime, I was on the very lower boundary of the top 1%. At least that's how I view it. And I don't, like it, YouTube's not all that it's cracked up to be. I mean, it's isolating. I think you'll admit that too. You stay in your room editing videos. Your sleep schedule inevitably gets screwed up. I know you mentioned that to me, and I've had problems with that because of staying up making videos. And you don't have coworkers, right? So the only relationships you develop are online, right? Kind of like this one, actually, ironically. And there's no job security. I mean, do you know where YouTube's going to be in 10 years? Do you know if YouTube will be around in 10 years? Do you want a big gap on your resume where you would call it a CV? It's damaging to your long-term career potential. In U.S. tax law, you're self-employed, and so you get taxed more. And no, I don't recommend getting into YouTube. I don't think YouTube's in a good place. I'm one of the, if I'm one of the upper tier channels and I'm thinking, oh, man, I got to get out of this, or I feel bad for people trying to get into YouTube right now. That means that's a death sentence for this site's ecosystem. If I'm thinking this way, if I'm thinking, man, I got to pivot, or I got to do something else, or I got to stop this, or this is a waste of my time. This can't go on. This can't go on if everybody's thinking that on the lower tiers. Where they worry about the future of the site, and rightfully so. So the answer is no.
How did the Adpocalypse affect you?
Yeah, the Adpocalypse affected me where and I think it was about March or April of last year, wasn't it? Or maybe the year before that. I forget. I think it was last year, maybe. The CPMs dropped to about January level, only it wasn't January. It wasn't January, trust me. But the Adpocalypse, the money result of it is the least of the problems. The biggest result of the Adpocalypse that was the most damaging was the changes. Like, all of a sudden, YouTube became the moral arbiter, and they really decided to take an active role in what kind of content they want and what kind of content they don't. And so in my case, they decided they don't want historical or political content of any kind. And unfortunately, for some reason, I guess I'm included in that. And so that was probably the biggest result of the Adpocalypse, where my kind of content was no longer wanted. I mean, I'm saying that very straightforward. People can deny that or say, like, what's your list channel? What do you mean you're safe? No, not at all. Read the monetization guidelines. They explicitly say they don't want anything about political conflicts, natural disasters of any kind. Guess what? That's me. That's Alternate History Hub, right? I noticed the other day he had a video. What if Germany won the First World War? It was put in limited state. That's ridiculous. It's a historical video. You would see that on the History Channel. What do you mean limited state? Certain kinds are no longer wanted, but they won't say that outright because they're more passive aggressive about it. So instead, they silently and slowly choke you out, and to the point where it's not viable anymore. And so I was realizing that everything I was doing involving history was being demonetized, and the views on those videos were getting throttled. Then I think, what do I do? Do I pivot, right? I built an audience that expects those kinds of videos. When I tried to do something else, they got mad. I mean, not knowing that I was being forced to do that, because it's either make a history video that people like and work for free and have my views throttled, or try something else to survive. Now the problem is when your genre is on the execution list under the new content guidelines, you try to do something else, your subscribers don't engage as much because they subscribe for a certain kind of video that you just can't make anymore. And so they engage less, and then you can't reach your subs, and the algorithm hurts you, and then it's a vicious cycle that you can't break out of. And all because people at the top decided what kind of content they like and what kind of content they don't want on YouTube. And I think they made a mistake. I think my content is perfectly innocent, absolutely. But it isn't just in like what kind of content they want too, right? So they announced recently they're going to decide which news videos from the proper sources get shown on searches and which don't. You saw that in the 5 objectives for 2018, right? They want to better surface news from reliable authoritative sources. That's what they said. I mean, it's of course that's PR language to the fullest, but that's infuriating to me. Say what you will about Alex Jones and the Young Turks, but these are YouTube. These are small news platforms that started on YouTube. Like, they were very small operations in the earliest days. And they made YouTube, and they're the reason why YouTube took off, is because YouTube was the home of smaller alternative news. TV didn't do shit for YouTube, and now they turn around saying, "Nah, sorry, Young Turks, sorry, Infowars," and I'm sure I'm forgetting other news sources' names. Sorry about that, but you're not an authoritative source. We're gonna better surface content from the New York Times. What a betrayal! What a betrayal! I mean, so it's not surprising that there have been forces exerted on YouTubers, and they're finding ways to survive by forcing people to buy overpriced shirts or getting their audiences to subsidize them. It is true that people are surviving even in spite of it, but it doesn't make what YouTube's doing right or even the smart business sense. I have to wonder with the things YouTube does, like the fiduciary duty of every corporation is to maximize value return to shareholders, right? And some of the things YouTube does, I scratch my head, like how on earth does this benefit shareholders? The things are like intentionally driving people off, spending. I see some of those videos they put on the front page, like those videos they produce. Like I know they made one supporting refugees. We'll put that. We won't go into politics in this, but that costs money. I know they're not getting a return on that, making these highly produced videos about refugees and whatever. Anyway, another example is Creators for Change, right? So they force that Creators for Change playlist onto your homepage. I would say about once a month. That's how often I see that. I know one thing you have to realize too with websites on their homepage is certain areas of the websites are highly valued real estate. You get a lot of clicks on certain parts, and um, intentionally putting those Creator for Change videos instead of other higher CPM videos they could put on their homepage means they're losing money doing that for the sake of pushing a social message, right? And I think that's a breach of fiduciary duty where you're promoting politics over maximizing returns to shareholders. The state of YouTube right now is I can't believe nothing more drastic has happened. That's the state of it. I can't. We thought the first advertiser boycott was bad enough. There's been two. I can't fathom what's going on there. I see people dropping out and stopping all the time, stopping making videos. I'm one of them. 2018 to me is like, wait and see. Is this crack going to break the dam? Is the dam going to collapse because of the crack? We don't know. The best part of YouTube is definitely the live streaming. And I'm not just saying that because I got bored one day and just started to do that and have a meltdown. Live streaming on YouTube is better than Twitch. I think you'll agree with me. Twitch has morality guidelines. They ban people. You didn't know that. I'm told and I see they take moral stances on people's streams. They play favorites, and anyone who views Twitch regularly will tell you this. But for the most part, streaming on YouTube right now it reminds me of the older days of YouTube where it's the Wild West. You can do anything. They pretty much are hands off about it right now, and I would say it's a better streaming platform. I have been happy with what YouTube has been doing on live streaming so far, except for one thing. I just noticed the other day when I started my stream. There's now a new option where instead of live chat, there's filtered chat, which is on by default, and some amorphous algorithm decides what chats are shown and what aren't, unless you manually select. I know, I'll show you after this. Unless you manually select, I want live chat. Like they're starting to filter the live stream chats like they do the comment sections. And I don't like. That's the first sign where I see like, oh goodness, YouTube's being itself again. But it's a minor thing, right? So maybe by the end of 2018 it'll be terrible too. But as of right now, I am happy with how they've handled live streaming.
What other kind of videos would you make if you couldn't make your current content?
There have been many things I've tried over the years that I wish I could be that I realize that I'm not, right? So I don't think I have the personality or charisma to, being a gaming entertainer, despite what you say. You say just break your keyboard and you're good to go. I think it's a little bit more than that. We'll just have to disagree on that. That's one thing I wish I could do. I wish I could be one of these political channels where they have, people listen for their opinions. I realize I'm not capable of doing that. I'm not charismatic enough. I'm not articulate enough. But that's one thing I would really like to do. Where, you weigh in on big political, moral, philosophical issues. I wish I could do that. I'm not capable of doing it. Another thing I wish I could do is make videos about investing in stocks. And unfortunately, I realized that the type of people who do follow me want absolutely nothing to do with that. It's boring to them. It's stupid. They don't pay attention. They don't appreciate it. And it is, yeah. You've tuned into some of my streams over the months.
Yeah.
I tried many different things because it was total freedom. So I was teaching people. I was talking about Korean, teaching Korean, and obviously everyone was just trolling in the chat. They didn't care about that. I'll talk about stocks and investment and in Bitcoin even, right? People don't care about that. They just don't. So
Did you,
that's definitely one thing I wish I could do, but I can't.
maybe you should try doing Kahoot.
Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, yeah. Why don't you just give the people what they want, which is Kahoot, right? No, and in fact, I believe I just said no more Kahoot for quite a long time. I'm at the point though where I don't like if I wanted to, I could do Kahoot and probably get a decent, consistent viewership because that's what people want. But thankfully, I'm at the point where I can do whatever I want and I don't have to pander or do things to get attention and
Yeah.
views. Freedom and just being my true, total, unadulterated self is far more important than like, well, got to go from 30 views to 80 views. It doesn't matter. I would rather be myself, and I think you understand that.
With the whole Adpocalypse thing, many YouTubers were living off the ad revenue, and that's
Correct.
actually stupid.
Very stupid.
I mean, they're fucked.
That's the funny thing. Anyone you notice where they suddenly get a Patreon out of nowhere, all of a sudden like, oh, guys, I suddenly have an interest in selling shirts. What that tells me is that I was on YouTube. I was making $10,000 a month, and I thought it was going to go on forever. And I was an idiot, and I didn't save any, and I bought Ferraris in cash. Right? That's what it tells me. One problem with YouTubers, I see this every time, is they have no concept. Like, dude, just because you made $8,000 net last month doesn't mean that's going to continue forever. And oh boy, they got a rude awakening when that adpocalypse hit. I was a little bit more careful and a little bit more responsible. So guess what? Now I get to sit back and do whatever I please and not have to desperately change up my content or try to sell shirts to
Yeah.
people. You actually see the thing is, earlier a year or two ago you would have been the fool not to, right? Because that was a gravy train. But because you didn't involve Spider-Man and Elsa, you're safe while others are dying. So you lucked out there. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but you did luck out by not using those characters, even though it was a gravy train. I mean, let's be honest about that.
What was your craziest fan interaction?
Oh boy. See, there are a few where they've done things so crazy that if I mention it now and they hear this will embolden them to do things. But there's one I can say. I did a live stream and I put my phone number to call me. And after it finished, this person called me again from the stream, and they had a very nasally voice, a very high pitched voice, but in a really scary way, like almost kind of like honestly like a pedophile sort of sense. And it's that they called me back like, this is your number, right? Yes, this is the stream's over. Do not call me anymore. Okay. Can I add you as one of my contacts? No, you may not. Okay, I'm going to add you to my phone, okay? No, you are not going to do that. You are not going to add me to your phone. I'm going to add you to my phone, and we will talk later. No, you are not going to do that. And that went on and on and on. Eventually, I hung up and blocked the number. But that was a strange one, definitely. I've had other characters. I mean, you mentioned the ever famous Swaggy Country. There are people who, for whatever reason, devote significant portions of their lives to trying to troll me and get to me. I guess because I don't know. For some reason, they see me as a target. I don't know why. I sit on my desktop playing Anthem. So there are people who are quite dedicated and trying to get to me. One example of which is Swaggy Country, the infamous Lithuanian who has spent quite literally months trolling my stream chat trying to get to me. I don't know what else to say to that. Anyone who regularly watches a live stream, I think, has some sort of deficiency. And to be honest, has some sort of deficiency in their life. If you have enough time to regularly tune into a live stream, especially a live stream from a dying list channel. I mean, let's be honest about that. And so every time you see someone in a stream chat, there's a selection pressure there, where every single person in there who shows up regularly, I'm going to make that exception, has some sort of deficiency in their life where they have the time and inclination to spend most of their time with you in the stream chat. I hope that answered your question.
I think it's interesting what you say about attention all the time.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. And I've realized, there isn't actually much magic in live streaming, really. It's actually the streamer is the fool. Everyone's there because they just want to harvest attention and validation from you, to the point where quite literally, I see people, they pop up in my chat and they demand, say my name out loud. There's no context. I've never seen them before. Say my name. It's blank. Just because, in some really screwed up way, they just want any sort of recognition. And I had to
Yeah.
think, like, talk to your parents, talk to your friends. Why do you care if a dying list channel says your name out loud? And I tell them no, and of course then they have a meltdown and then troll me for the next month, just because of that slight. Where and then there are other ones too where like they literally will write, just give me fucking attention. You could take me out to dinner first. Yikes! I feel dirty after seeing that. I feel used. I almost feel like in a way like those booby streamers, right? Like they have to feel dirty afterwards, where they laugh and pretend to be friendly with all the people, but really they're just like they're a sponge for validation for lonely people. And part of streaming is that too, where like you literally they only care about you, assuming they even care at all. Most don't care about you at all, but they only care about you insofar as you can give them attention and validation. And we've obviously on my stream we've kind of turned it into a joke, right? But it's really sad, and it makes me feel dirty in a way, knowing that people are just using me to harvest attention and validation. I don't think they get attention from their parents. I think that's a big portion of it. But what you were saying there, I agree, is true some of the time. But you're attributing like Machiavellian intentions to them, where like some people are fame diggers, and that's a separate thing we can talk about. But what I was talking about, and I think these are both true at the same time, is that it's much more simple and I won't say Freudian, but like a result of psychological deficiencies, where it's just that simple craving for validation. And I noticed too, a lot of the people who are doing this are actually on the younger side. They're 12 to 13 and just desperate for attention and validation.
Yeah, they're
And I have
just
to
looking
wonder about
up to those channel. I mean,
yeah, yeah. It's
that's
about being a
why
surrogate
PewDiePie
father.
is so big.
Yeah, surrogate father. But PewDiePie's audience has grown up, and actually he's changed with them. But the original audience, he was a surrogate father to, and it was younger people where they're clearly not having enough interactions or positive interactions with their parents. I have an example of that where one person who's been trolling me, and I'll let you get to this in a second. This is important. There's one person who trolled me nonstop for about 2 or 3 weeks, and he was on my Discord server picking fights with some of my more dedicated fans. And you have to wonder, like, how does a person have time to do this? And then apparently his dad came in because he was yelling and screaming on my server and literally took out his belt. And as you can imagine what happened. Yeah, they heard the whole thing. They heard the whole thing. And then it clicked for me. Like the only interaction that these kids have with their parents is when they're being disciplined or being yelled at or whatever. Like they're just neglected or ignored the rest of the time. And quite literally, these days you have hordes of feral children running around the internet who have no structure and no positive interactions with their parents, seeking surrogate fathers on the internet, and they are completely out of control, as I've seen from my stream chat. Think about like everybody's viewers; they're taking part in this, whether they like it or not. Right now, because of modern parenting and modern issues with the internet, there is an entire generation of feral children running around on the internet.
I think a lot of parents just put on YouTube on the tablet or TV. I mean, the watch time on the TV is much, much higher.
That's interesting.
I think it's just running in the background
That's so interesting.
and all the ads get played and
So that's really interesting, because what that tells me is that because you obviously you're targeting much younger kids. Literally, this is actually the earlier stage of the feral children I'm seeing in my stream. So literally, the children you're raising will grow up to be the trolls in my stream chat, which is really funny. You see the ecosystem, the chain there. Literally, they turn on the TV as here are the bright colors. Now shut up, little kid. I'm going to do something else. Here are the bright colors. Just watch the minions jump around.
yeah, there's not much to keep their attention span.
And then like I make a habit out of this. Every time someone's a really dedicated troll in my stream chat or they're causing problems or acting out, I always open their channel and take a look. And I always will remember one time there's this one person calling me all kinds of names that he shouldn't be, and I opened his video and it was some 14-year-old kid, and literally in the video he was filming his screen in Call of Duty, and you could see off to the side on the video all of his parents and relatives were sitting around a table talking to each other and ignoring him. And that was so emblematic of the type of person acting out on YouTube videos or saying you suck or whatever it may be. It's funny because you feel like you're a normal person, but obviously you go around videos, and as long as you have that check mark, right? You can't deny that you have an effect on people. You have an effect on people, and it feels so weird because I'm just, very few people know who I am or what I do, so I'm treated like a normal person in real life, and I've still have never gotten used to people like having the same experience you have, or people like act crazy or act like it's a big deal just because you left a comment. I popped into a live stream the other day, and there were three people like, "Whoa, is that Toplists? Is that the real Toplists?" And I'm not saying that as bragging. It literally happened, and it's similar to you. And like, I don't know how to feel about that. It's a strange feeling. I'm just a normal person.
What is your comment section like?
Yeah, so I've always left comments on because I believe it increases engagement on your video. People stay, et cetera, et cetera. I believe it helps you. I always left them on. And my comments are interesting because I made videos that took a stance on historical issues and et cetera. And my videos tended to attract know-it-alls, but at the same time where they don't know anything at all. And that may seem like it doesn't make sense, but I'll explain it. So there will be videos where I'm trying to be as neutral and even-handedly as possible, talking about a historical issue. And then quite literally, I'll open the comment box on the dashboard, and there will be 3 comments all within the same page. One person calling me a Nazi, one person calling me a communist, and then the other person, usually, picking some other third potential option. And you have to think to these people, I can't both be a Nazi and a communist. So you got to take your pick there. You got to take a little more nuance. Yeah. And then, people, they are like every single time, the drill. There's an argument about politics. There's an argument about Trump. There's an argument about religion. It goes on and on and on. Political and historical videos tend to attract know-it-alls or people who think they're smarter than they actually are. And that's reflected in the comment section, where they argue about petty nationalism all day, every day. Some of the big flashpoints are Greece versus Turkey, India versus Pakistan, Russia versus USA, Iran versus USA, et cetera. It goes on and on and on and on. So those are the defining characteristics of my comment section. Petty nationalism, people making judgments about my character that just are either contradictory or false, and so on.
There are a lot of channels I've encountered that like, why can't I make it on YouTube? Why don't millions of people watch my Norwegian Roblox Let's Plays? What do they expect?
No one thinks of their situation outside of themselves, especially younger people and less intelligent people. They're not as capable of abstract thinking. And so they think like, yeah, I mean, I get the odds are against me, but like, I'm me. I have to succeed. I have to. So I'm me. I'm going to be the lucky one. They all think that. And the reality is, no, you're very typical, you're very ordinary, and you didn't get lucky. It's simple as that. Those are the people who decide to throw pity parties eventually where they feel entitled to it. And speaking of entitlement, the same type of person you're saying and complaining about, why isn't my Norwegian Roblox channel doing well? Forgetting the fact that you're not special, you're not funny, you're not unique, and there's nothing at all that would make you a success. I get those kind of people where they literally send me messages, not asking for help, but demanding help. I'll get DMs from people like, can you give me a shout out? You're successful and it's your job now to give it to others. That's something someone said to me verbatim, completely, they lack any self-awareness whatsoever. I've had other ones where back in the day I didn't upload for a week and I got a message from someone saying, if you're not going to upload, can I have your channel? I promise I'll use it.
What the fuck?
You realize how insulting that is?
So I kind of want to talk about other YouTubers. Like, which other YouTubers do you like? Do you have met other people through YouTube?
Yeah, so obviously the first thing I go to are my friends, right? So actually, I like the person I'm speaking to right now. Not that I can stomach your content, I can. I'm not a child, but
Neither can
I like that's the funny thing, right? But I obviously I like the mind behind it, which is you, right? So I mean, this is why I'm doing this. I enjoy talking to you. Whatever. I have a good friend, Crunching Up. I think he makes good Overwatch videos, like the good kind where he's not afraid to be a dick. He trolls people. I like that kind of stuff. Overwatch suffers from too much positivity cultism. You're Not Justin is a great channel too. I think you're aware of him as well. He does similar things in Overwatch where he's real, right?
I mean, he
he's not
invited
afraid
you
to be a
to
dick.
the council.
That's a funny thing, right? So
yeah, I didn't want to invite you because I was afraid you're gonna tear the server apart. I had
really.
I had the impression in your streams like you're gonna bomb YouTube or whatever.
Oh, you literally thought I was that like I'd snapped that far. That's funny. No, I have a siege mentality. There are so many people going after me. I get, obviously there's a siege mentality. I'm defensive, but I'm not a bad person. Like I mean, I can be your
Can you
friend.
say that
right?
from yourself?
That's funny. I'm not a bad person, really. I promise. And people who treat me with respect are people who clearly have demonstrated intelligence and value. I'm not like I'm not going to snap or do anything to them. It's just, but I don't take shit either, right? So if you're going after me, I won't hold back. I won't pretend to be nice. But I mean, we're having a civil and polite conversation right now. Clearly, I'm capable of doing that, right?
Yeah.
I understand why though you had gotten that impression, but yes, it's true. The reason we are speaking right now is because of You're Not Justin. That's the reason. And I love his streams. He does IRL streams now. Those are very enjoyable. Those are fun to watch. They make me want to do them, even though I don't think I can do it. And I like his videos too. No, other YouTubers, the bigger ones that I like Red Letter Media a lot. I've been watching them for a long time. I think that they're the only non-sellout, non-crappy movie involved channel. Because there's a lot of people who will just say, "Oh, this 10th comic book movie is great. You need to watch it." I like that they're cynical. I like that they're real. So that's a YouTuber I like.
Do you even collaborate with anyone?
I can't really. I was never really able to collaborate with videos. I'm a list channel.
Yeah.
That didn't stop me from collaborating a few times, but I can't collaborate with the people I actually like, right? But I mean, you're answering your own question. Because, I mean, aren't we technically collaborating right now? We're effectively doing that right now, and
Yeah.
that's how I want it. I'm kind of moving away from the whole list video thing, and I guess I'm a personality. I guess that's been thrust upon me. This is the kind of thing I want to be doing. I want to be talking to people like you. I want to be hanging out, and You're Not just in streams. I wish Crunchy Nut would come back. He won't, whatever. This is the kind of thing I want to do. This is the kind of thing I want to collaborate on. I just want to be, I guess I want to be a personality out there, and that's clearly is the direction it's going in. So
Yeah.
on videos, probably not. If you show up on my stream, you'll probably end up in a highlight, right? So I mean, that's a form of collaboration, but direct video collaboration for me, that's a thing of the past.
About the council, what do you think of it so far?
I'm really glad it exists. I like the few times where we've been at Cabal, right? So remember that one time where the people on your server got together to help out that guy that was being screwed over by Kefri? That was amazing, yeah.
He left, by the way.
Oh, that's a shame. He left the server? Why did he leave? He owes you. What, so, we rallied around him and helped him out, and he does that? He owes you. Without you, he wouldn't have his channel.
Yeah, I tweeted about it, and Justin caught up
Got
on
me
it.
tweeting, got
Yeah.
Justin, yeah.
And then it got to Keemstar.
Could be a little more appreciative.
Yeah. So,
you
Dusty,
literally saved
if you see that, you're gay.
I mean, you got to give him an out, right? But I mean, just think about it, right? So I was one of the people where I felt bad for you and I rallied around you, and that this is how it's repaid. And that tells me is that you cynically, if you left and you haven't paid it back, what that tells me is that you cynically used it, or you took advantage of the community's assistance, right? In a way, your server it's a community of YouTubers, and you disavow or you push away the creator of that, someone who took out his time from his night. I mean, like, YouTubers, we're busy, right? We were managing hundreds of thousands of viewers, right? So I took my time out to help you. And
Yeah.
you go and you call the server operator gay when he literally saved your channel. I don't know much about this. I could be completely wrong, and I'm willing to, if I went too far on this, I'm willing to accept that. But as I see it right now, you should not have done that. You should be more appreciative. You owe him. You're providing a valuable service, a valuable utility. I mean, there's been talks of having a YouTubers union, right? I mean, that might be too far, but things like this are a good step in between. We need to hang out together. We need to, at least participate in the same servers. We can quickly rally, right? Where, like in the case of that guy that called you gay and left the server, at least in his case, that demonstrated that we can rally together and defend the collective, right? Servers like yours, I'm very happy to participate in, where I can quickly reach out to people who have influence or they have presences, and right, so we can get together. I like that. I like talking to and hanging out with other YouTubers, and you're providing that, and I appreciate that.
I have hope in these interview series. If it's gonna be a thing, then smaller creators will profit from that because they get exposure.
Absolutely. And not to mention too, I mean, I suspect these interviewers will help out the entire series as well as your server, right? So
yeah,
people have audiences and they're desperate to watch any videos where the person they like is talking, or they can learn more about them. So, I mean, just being blunt, there are people who are going to watch this and they're going to care about what I'm saying and not really care about you. But at the same time, it'll expose them to you, right? So I bring people into the equation that, never heard of you, and every person you interview will do the same thing. And I think that's valuable, and I think that's good for your server in the long run. So I think this was a good idea. And plus, too, like, people love talking about themselves, right? And so they'll leap at any opportunity to talk about themselves. And so that's a good way of getting us into this, right?
yeah.
So clever idea and well executed, and I like it.
What would you tell somebody who just started out making videos if he encounters hate, or how to deal with hate, or generally, what would you recommend somebody?
Someone who's just started making videos, I would say don't. You should stop. You should focus on a more pragmatic career path. You're not going to make it. You're not special. The odds are against you. Even if you do make it, It's not all that it's cracked up to be. You won't make as much money as you think you're going to make. The cost to your life and privacy is something you can never get back. Right. So once people know where you live and who you are, you can never get that back. Privacy is a beautiful thing. You should think about that before throwing it away.
So thanks for taking the time.
No problem. Thanks for having me on here, and I really appreciate that you thought of this and even made these questions tailored to me. I like that you thought of me, number one, to have me as first. I'm very thankful and grateful for that, and I can tell you clearly hold me in some sort of high regard, and that humbles me. I appreciate it, and I wish this series the best, and I will be sure to direct everybody I can to it, and I appreciate that.